The place where you intend to set up the facility, you should try and make sure that you own the place. Now, some people have reached out to me during one-on-one consultation sessions, and they've asked me if it is advisable for them to use a rented space or if they could get somewhere temporary to establish the factory, or to rent someone else's factory and produce before they actually have their own. Now, the simple answer to this is, if you truly own this business and you truly want to do it for a long period of time, the simple solution is for you to actually own the facility, because embarking on a project like this will require you to drill a borehole, will require you to make certain adjustments to the land. It requires you to do some heavy construction projects. And if it's not a place that you own, it will be somehow for you to actually create such structure on someone else's property. At the end of the day, you leave it and move to another structure or another land for you to construct the factory. So the expenses is going to be much on you. The simple answer to this is just own a place and use the place for your own water factory. When it comes to anything rent or thinking of doing it on another person's land or something, just don't even put your mind in that direction. Just think about a space which you own, and you can plan on using that space for your water factory. Now, another thing again is, during the project, you will face some disappointments. This could be maybe when you're expecting blocks to come. Maybe if you're in the construction phase, expecting blocks, expecting some materials. You might even get some disappointment from your engineers during the construction work. All this is part of some of those little challenges that you encounter when you are doing a project like this in Nigeria. So at least you should be aware that something like this will happen, so that you won't face discouragement in the future and get frustrated. So another thing is, during the construction phase, the installation phase, and the documentation phase, there are certain things that needs to go hand in hand. So, like, before you actually do your NAFDAC documentation, before you come for inspection, you need to make sure that all your machines, your equipment, your raw materials, everything is in place, so that by the time they come for inspection and they are asking for one or two things, you won't be, confused, and you won't feel as if you haven't heard of them before. I actually have a NAFDAC checklist that comes along with my one-on-one coaching session, whereby I list out some of those things that are required for you to have when NAFDAC come for inspection. So I believe this will also help you in setting up your own factory properly. Another thing is, the equipment that you use for production, you need to maintain them regularly. Now, these equipments are equipment that costs a lot of money, especially the pure water machine, the reverse osmosis. They are in millions. So it is very important for you to make sure that at least you have routine maintenance, even though it's like once a month or twice a month. So this will help you, know some of those areas where the equipments are beginning to develop some challenges. And if there's any underlying issue that I'm not seeing yet that might arise in the future, you'll be able to detect it during this routine maintenance. There was a time whereby one of our facilities had an issue. We had an issue with the reverse osmosis machine, the foreign reverse osmosis machine, and that machine was quite expensive. In short, the water that was running through the membranes was actually causing some damages to the membranes, which we were not aware of. It is when we had our general maintenance that they opened up some of the machines that we discovered some of this issue. So, and it cost us a lot of money because we had to replace the whole membranes. So, yeah, things like this can be avoided if routine maintenance are carried out. So try and do routine maintenance so that your equipment won't develop issue. Now, another thing is with your staffs. You are definitely going to be working with other people in your factory. You need an operator, you need driver, maybe a production manager and a cleaner, just for a basic factory. Now, working with these people might be challenging sometimes. You are relating with other human beings. So there might be certain things that you want to do. Maybe their own thinking might not be perfectly aligning with yours. So you should know that as the manager or as someone who owns a facility, you should take it upon yourself to be a responsibility to always encourage your staffs, the people working under you. It mustn't be in an aggressive manner, it mustn't be in a bossy manner. Just to try and share your vision and to relate with them in such a manner that you work hand in hand and everything will be transparent and there will be mutual understanding. Now, another thing you should also keep in mind is that the profit in this business is not instant. Now, a lot of people do come with the expectation of how much profit can I make within a month, within 2 months when I start this business. And it's only natural when you're investing, millions of naira into such business that you would want to expect profit. But one thing with the pure water business is that when you start at the initial stage, you won't be seeing or you won't be able to understand and make a lot of profit in the beginning stages, because this is when you'll be trying to understand the business, know where your customer bases are, know how much you can effectively sell in the market, and some of those other things you need to know at the beginning stage of the market. So you shouldn't expect profit at the beginning stages. Profit will definitely come, but it comes over time. So the business climbs up slow and steady, especially in Nigeria, whereby almost everything is working against you when it comes to business. So you just need to give yourself time to mature in the business, produce more, build relationships, and capture the market. So another thing again is when you are starting up, someone recently called me, we had a call session, and he told me about his budget that he has for getting into this business. Now he was thinking of setting up a pure water factory with two machines. He had big plans, but he said his budget was 3 million. He called me to know if that 3 million would be enough and if he could actually source funds, if it will be advisable for him to borrow money so that he can invest in the business. Then after some time, he will pay back. Now, for a business like pure water production, I will highly advise that if you are going into this business, at least have some tangible like money. You should have some good money that you actually own. Now, I'm not saying you can't borrow money. You can borrow money, you can source funds from other places. But the time which you would need to, adjust in the market, you will need for you to buy raw materials, you will need for you to understand the market and understand the profit you are making. That period, maybe the money you borrow, the time might not be enough for you. You will be in such a pressure for you to pay back the money and to also inject some money into your business, because this pure water business at this stage is still a startup. So you will need as much money as you can. And if you are going to borrow money at that stage, I'm not saying you can't borrow money. You can borrow, but it should be when you've already established yourself, you've already established the business to a certain stage, not borrowing money to start up the business. I don't know if you are getting my point, but this is just my advice on the matter. I'm sure some people still, if you have maybe money or somebody willing to give you money, you still go ahead and borrow. But my own honest opinion and advice is that if you are to borrow money, it should be when you've already established the business. Maybe you just need money to buy raw materials, then you can borrow quick money, inject in the business, then pay back. But if it is for starting up, I'll honestly advise that you at least have the huge portion of the money which you are investing into the business. And if your budget is small, you must not necessarily go into the manufacturing of pure water at the beginning stages. Like I said, even our own business at the early stages, my mom initially started with retail. That was far back as 2003, 2004. So you started in retail before the business matured and got into manufacturing. So similarly too, you can go into retail, maybe have like an ice block machine or a freezer whereby you distribute the water to other people. From there, once you have like a customer base, you build relationship, you can now think of establishing your own facility and complementing your retail distribution with the manufacturing side. One of the main reasons why I started this channel is to share more information on establishing a pure water factory and to share as much information as possible out there on running a pure water business. So if you are interested and you like the kind of content you see here, it will really encourage me if you subscribe to the channel, like the videos, and also share the videos with those who will be interested in such content. So the next thing is, when going into this business, you should enter with the mindset of cutting down expenses. Now, I've had people reach out to me and say they want to have a huge facility, they want to have two pure water machines, Somebody even said he would drill two boreholes and so on. Now, the kind of facility or the kind of factory you have, it depends on your budget and how much you are willing to invest in this project. Now, imagine somebody thinking of setting up a one pure water machine factory and he has a budget of 50 million. Definitely, he will establish the factory, put AC, put ensure as much things as he can with that 50 million naira. Now, imagine somebody who is thinking of setting up a pure water factory with two pure water machines and is thinking of investing that same 50 million naira. So, definitely, you know that some of the items, maybe like the AC, the person won't install it. There are some things they will need to cut. So, similarly, once you are running this business, you should think as a business owner and think about ways which you will reduce expenses and costs that will maybe definitely affect the profit margin of your business. One other thing again is once you get into this business at the beginning stages, there are several people, maybe friends, well wishers, business partners that would like to, give their own opinion about the business. They would like to give you advice about, how business is done. So this is not coming from a bad place. This might be coming from a place of concern. This might be coming from a place where people would want to actually encourage you to do more. But there are cases whereby, like when we started, we encountered this a lot, not even from one factory. In short, even now too, every once in a while, we still face this. Some people will come and tell you, okay, your own water is expensive, you should reduce your price. Somebody will come and tell you, okay, another company like this is supplying at a certain price. They would want to, impact how much you sell your products. Now, you as the factory owner, you know how much it costs you to buy raw materials. You know how much it costs you to fuel your delivery vehicles. You know how much you pay for light and so many other things. So you are in the best position to, determine the price of your product. And one thing I do advise is that there are other factories, you have competitors, you have other people in the same line of business with you. Like in Abuja here, we have a platform, Association of Table Waters, and we have zonal platforms whereby the manufacturers in that area will do chat on the WhatsApp group, share ideas, and talk about prices in the market. So similarly, regardless of where you are, you can look around, have a word with your competitors, join a group chat, join a forum. This will help you understand some of those trending things going on in the market. If there is price hike, maybe price hike in raw materials, or maybe if it decreases, those are the major places where you'll be getting reliable updates. So I believe this would serve you in a positive direction when running your pure water factory. Now, one more thing is before you actually begin serious production in your factory, when I say serious production is after NAFDAC registration and everything, you've resumed, you've commissioned your factory fully, you should have a dedicated raw material supplier. Now, raw materials sometimes can be challenging to reach you. The raw materials are not very common like that, that you just go to maybe one market and you pay money and get your raw materials instantly. Sometimes you need to book ahead, you need to make arrangements with your suppliers so that before you run out of raw materials in your factory, the new stock will get to you. So have a reliable raw material supplier so that you won't have breaks and gaps during production in the factory. Now, if you are interested in a one-on-one coaching session that will teach you how to set up a pure water factory, a bottled water factory, how you can get the contacts for NAFDAC registration, for equipment, for raw materials, all those other things you need. I do offer them in my one-on-one coaching session. And when you are reaching out to me on WhatsApp, please try and send text messages only or voice notes because sometimes I do receive voice calls and it might be in an inconvenient place, in a place whereby I can't actually pick calls then. But you can send me a message on WhatsApp. This is a one-man production crew that I am. I shoot these videos myself, I respond to the comments myself, I respond to the WhatsApp messages myself. So sometimes it can be a bit challenging for me to navigate all these platforms and respond to everybody. So once you send me a message on WhatsApp and you see maybe I don't respond on time, you can also resend a message or send a voice note and I'll respond to it as soon as I can.